how do you rethink the business, from a platform or digital ecosystem perspective? It's not about, personalizing your retail stores. It is not about, using some data in order to, put some personalization idea on your product. It is not about, doing more in social media. Those are all very, very nice recommendations, but they're not leaving you with the solution. So my answer is to rethink this. And so allow me to be a little slow in thinking about this. Where are we coming from? In 1995, I think this is when everything started to change, even for your business, for fossil, for retailers. In 1995, the first thing, the internet started, the web, as you know. And there were two guys in California at the Stanford University working on their PhD. Larry Page is one. And they said, if all this information is out there, that we need some technology in order to organize that information so you can find stuff on the internet. And that became Google. That became Google. And then there was a guy, somewhere in Seattle, who says, if on one side is a person and on the other side on the internet is another person that exchange information, couldn't there be on the other side a book? Couldn't you also sell stuff on the other side? And that became a technology called e-commerce. And so in 95, when the first internet, the first level of connectivity came around, these two technologies created these gigantic companies today, the biggest and most profitable, I think the most valuable $1 trillion companies in the world. That is 95, and then something else happened. In the next phase of connectivity, what really happened is we started to connect people, relationships. We started to digitize the relationships we have. Frank and I have a relationship. We digitize it over Facebook. We have a link on Facebook, LinkedIn, and so forth. Yes. Something like So there was this guy at Harvard, who says, look, I want to he's had some problem in the woman department or girl department. He says, I'm going to want to get to know more girls, connect girls. I think it's how it works, Harvard, Mark Zuckerberg, right? That's how he started, the Facebook somehow. I think he thought of it as a social network, or as a nerd to connect with cool people. And that became social media. And then, of course, the iPhone came about, Nokia disappeared, and Apple helped this, and suddenly social media came up. So the second level of connectivity that we need to understand is that there were new technologies, two in particular, namely social media, all forms of it. Today it's TikTok, and then a mobile that allowed us to do this stuff all the time, all night long if you want to. Then comes number 3. And this is where we are today. Today, we are at a moment where all of the several very major technologies, not just one, come to maturity. Today, it's a world of connectivity of everything. We talk about Internet of Things. We talk about the blockchain. We had a wonderful seminar this morning on the blockchain. If you missed it, you missed a big morning. We talk about 5G that makes everything much faster. And we also talk about, AI, machine learning, and so forth. Never, ever in the history, as far as I know, and I'm relatively old, very old, thank you, 19, have these kind of technologies, so important technologies, and not just any technologies, not just like infrastructure and SAP type stuff, like this German company stuff. No, consumer technologies, ways that you and I interface, ways that you and I live our life. Those technologies, never in the history have matured at the same time at a rate like this. Number one. Number two. Today, as we speak of those technologies, companies like the Googles of the world, the Apples of the world, the Facebooks of the world, the Amazons have not emerged yet. We are really in the middle of deciding what companies in what industries are sort of driving their change. And that's why it's so important to be here. Is fossil going to be the disrupted or the disruptor? You know, is fossil going to be there and says, we are going to do business as usual, and maybe we're improving our website, and maybe we do a little personalization, and maybe we do a little bit more social media? Or is fossil as a company, or Christ in Germany, or Liberty in the UK, as a major department store retailer, are you saying, how am I approaching this particular area? That's sort of what matters to me. So I want you to think about two worlds. One world is the world of walls. The world of walls is something we have lived for 100 years. You know, in the car business, in the premium luxury car business, it's Mercedes, BMW, Audi. The three compete. They have massive investment in production facilities. They protect their markets. They compete against each other in what, and sometimes some others show up, Lexus or whatever. But largely for 100 years, a BMW or Mercedes or any car is manufactured in the very same way. And I have it on the left side, in a linear way. R&D, production, marketing, consumers. In your world, you know it from yesterday. Moritz talked about that. He says it's about design, it's about make, it's about sell, it's about use, and then reuse. So you have to ask yourself, are you in this new world that I just described to you, this new era of connectivity, are you competing in a world of worlds? Or are you, I'm a marathoner, by the way, just so you know. I know I won't get out of breath very shortly. And then, are you competing in the world of world? Are you leveraging that level of connectivity that exists today? Are you in the business of just better, faster, cheaper producing fossil watches and just trying to we do better R&D. We're going to go to more countries to get more ideas, our designers. Are we doing better or more sort of like faster production? Are we better marketing, better you know, new ways of direct to consumer, all sorts? Are you just in the better business, or are you changing the way you think about your business? So if I had to say, is there some water or something? If I had to say, you know, why are you really here? And if I may ask you this, thank you so much. If I may ask you this, as you walk down that, in an hour, half an hour, as you walk down the door, I ask you to think about, are you competing in the world of walls? Are you going back tomorrow to the same building at Fossil, and are you competing on doing your job just to compete in the world of walls? Or are you following me over here, and are you competing in the world of webs and saying, am I really taking advantage of these technologies? I don't mean one, I don't mean another, I don't mean better social, I don't mean more likes, more followers. You know what I mean? I don't mean more commerce. I don't mean more touchless commerce. I don't mean single-click commerce. You know, I don't mean those kind of things. I don't mean a community. I mean thinking collectively of all of those opportunities and saying, we are going to change at Fossil how we are going to sell, how we're going to market, how we're going to design, and how we're going to help consumers. In this world here, the consumer is on the receiving end. You know, we Germans, you know, we at Bavaria, we Munich, we know how to build the ultimate driving machine. We branded it as such. We've done it for 100 years. Nobody, there's only one ultimate, you know, it's a BMW machine, let's say. And we know, and because we are so good in Bavaria, we have the consumers pay a super premium price for the product. The consumer is at the receiving side. They make us believe that. Very well so. In this world, You are in a very different world. The consumer is not on the receiving side. The consumer is a participant. The consumer is a participant. There may be many other participants. When I want to go out in the night, have a great time, be social with my friends, just accessories and a watch is not enough. I need a whole experience in order to make that happen. So a consumer becomes an active participant in value creation. Yesterday Moritz said it. He says, here is a world of transaction, he said, and then there is a world of interaction. If you really want to take advantage of the technologies, if you don't want to get lost in this technology and that, in the AI bubble, the talk and the chit-chat that you have, you got to think of that collectively and say, how am I changing the business model? Here in this one, the business model is efficient production experience curve. In this business model, in this mold, you have entirely new business models. Think of the car industry. In this model, you build cars, product. In this model, you're solving for mobility.